we are going to take population theories. We are still under population. We'll discuss some facts about population. The last class we'll talk about optimum population, and we'll talk about underpopulation, and we'll talk about overpopulation. Today, we want to talk about Malthusian population theory. Malthusian population theory was actually propounded by David Thomas Malthus. So, the Malthusian population theory was propounded by Thomas Robert Malthus, or Malthus. And this theory was propounded when he wrote his essay on population. He is a clergyman and he is a political economist. And then in his population theory, he ascertained that at a time, the population of the world will grow more than the sustenance that the world will provide. Let me quote the quotes. He said, the power of population is so superior to the power of the earth to produce substance for man that premature death must, in some shape or other, visit of the human race. That at a time, the earth will not produce substance that will sustain human life. What does that mean? That a time will come when the population of the earth will outgrow food production. Let me use this chart here. Look at this. This is the rate of human population. You look at it, it's moving on this symmetrical. Look at it. It moves high. Now, this is what Thomas means. That the population will increase and food production is going to just be like this. At this point, food production will not meet up to this higher move of human population. And so at this point, the sustenance, the food sustenance, from this level down to this level, there's going to be a problem that the earth will not be able to provide for this growing population. That was his own theory. That a time will come, the food production in the world will not meet up to the standard or the number of population in the world. Though his theory have some shortcomings, as you go further, we will talk about those shortcomings in other of our classes. But that was his theory of population. But then, what are the features of this theory? We're going to talk about a number of features that this population, this theory encompasses or talks about. Now let's look at the features of the Malthusian, the features of his theory. We'll talk about Thomas Robert Malthus' theory, which he propounded when he wrote an essay on population. We told you he is a clergyman, and we told you that in that essay he talks about how food sustenance will not sustain the full population. Now, what are the features? What did he ascertain? That one, that the population was growing at a geometrical progression, such as 2, 4, 8, 16, etc. In your mathematics, you did geometrical progression, arithmetic progression. Now, geometrical progression means that it is moving at an increasing rate. Look at 2, 4, 8, 16. That's how it will just be doubling itself. That's how the population is moving. Now, the second perception of Thomas is that there is tendency for all living things to grow beyond the food available. That there is every tendency that this population is going to outgrow the human population. That's to say, food production is going to be reduced while population of people is going to go at an exceeding rate. Though there are some shortcomings to this theory, he failed to realize that technology may come, because when he propounded this theory, it was down the lane, centuries back, that he propounded this theory. And so, he did this theory in 1798, which is of course far from our generation. And the technological advancement that the world has undergone now, they did not see it then. That was another of his perception. Then 3, that unless population increases, its match with means of sustenance, negative and positive checks will come into force. That unless population increase is matched with sustenance, that's to say, if they can curb the population to reduce to the number of food that the world can grow, that means it can be well. But if the world cannot curb the number of population, and that population is growing at that geometrical rate, there's going to be problem. There's bound to be problem in the world. Then the fourth of his assumption is that the check can be war, disease, epidemic, and famine. That for this check, that's for the population to be reduced, for the population to go along with food sustenance. 1, there will be war, which will claim many lives. 2, there will be epidemic, different diseases that will kill so many persons. Then he talks about famine, hunger, that will claim so many lives. And so when all these things happen, the population will reduce, like being an underpopulated nation or that populated world, so that food sustenance will be able to cater for everyone. And then lastly, that population is essentially limited by the means of sustenance. That population, should be essentially limited to the substances, sustenance, food production, availability of resources that will be in the world to cater for the population. So these are the features of the Malthusian population theory. We saw the first one was that the growing population is moving at a geometrical rate, while food production is moving at an arithmetic rate. Geometrical. The other one was moving at an arithmetic rate. And then it tells us that the tendency for all living things to grow beyond the food availability is there, because once the population grows, the food production will not sustain them. Then he said, if the population increases, it has to match with the substances or sustenance or food production that will be available for the world. So they must match population with food production, resources available to cater for the population. Then the check that can happen to curb the rate of increase in population have to be war, epidemic, disease, famine, and host of other natural disasters. Then lastly, that population is essentially limited by the means of substances or sustenance, whatever. So we have seen his features, we have seen his theory, we have seen what he believes in. In our next class, we'll still talk more of other population theory. And as you go further in your studies, you're going to see the shortcoming of the Malthusian population theory. So bear the theory in mind, watch and rewatch, read other sources if you want to, ask questions below the comment box. Until I come your way next class when we talk about other population theory. Thank you for being part of this class. Subscribe if you have not subscribed. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming. Give us a thumbs up if you like what we're doing here. Share our videos. If you have value for this class, leave us a comment below the comment box. Thank you as well.